Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. I just want to exist in this space. I really do. The space I'm talking about is a condo in D.C., and that the work there was done by an amazing interior designer, MaryJo Major, who joins us once again on the program. We're going to kind of dissect one of her projects. We started with it once before, but it's just so amazing what came about of this condo. And I love how it gives us insight on what can be done, how the process goes along there. RiseInterior.co is her company. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks for having me.
So this, a very unique space, and I don't know what it looked like before, but I have a vision of what I think it might have looked like based on what's there. Describe this condo when you first saw it. You know, when this client came in and said, "All right, MaryJo, this is what I got, and what are we going to do?" Yeah, what did it look like?
Sure. So this client's on Capitol Hill. So most condos on Capitol Hill aren't very spacious. It's a 700 square foot place, and this main area has to kind of do it all. When you walk in the door, it's her living, dining, and kitchen. And when I first started working with her, she had just redone the kitchen. It was a galley kitchen that kind of had a wall that separated the kind of this little living dining area from the kitchen. And so when I first came in the room, she had just knocked down that wall, created this huge kind of peninsula island thing. And the only thing she had was a TV on a TV stand. And it was right, actually, Steve, if you're looking at these photos of the after shots, it was the wall with the artwork on it. That's where she had her TV. And then she had a little kind of like a bench, almost kind of like a wooden bench that was along the wall where the TV is now. And then she had one sofa that was pushed along the big thing of windows. So when you walked in the door, her sofa was kind of really far away from her TV. And then she had kind of a bench that was in between, two door openings. So she did kind of what I think people naturally do when they first go into a space is they know they need a place to sit and they know they want to watch TV. So most of the time people will kind of put their whatever, walls they feel like make the most sense. They'll put them against the wall completely. So whether, they'll put the TV on the wall and they'll put the sofa on the opposite wall. And so everything was just really spread out. And she, one of her big things that she talked about when we first met was, hey, listen, I have a group of friends that comes over on a regular basis. And, I have this small space, but I would like to have a seat for people to sit, like instead of just, sit here or hang out, just stand around. And so that was one of the big design dilemmas we had going into this.
So let's look at the window where there was a sofa, right? Right now there is I don't want to call it a bench because I'm not doing it justice, but it's something that was designed that has cushions on it that looks very comfortable. I mean, I can just picture myself sitting there, maybe reading a book, looking out the window, and then there's storage underneath it. Is that something that you suggested and it was constructed?
Yes, that was kind of the missing piece to the whole, I guess you call it puzzle of her space. Steve, the solution we came up with was to have, it's called a banquette, which is a kind of fancy word for what you just said. Say
that again. I want to retain that.
Yeah, it's called a banquette.
A banquette. Not a banquet, a banquette. All right.
No, I know. I'm sure it has some French root somewhere.
Or if I have extra money, I'm going to bank it.
That's right. So yeah, I decided that in order to kind of maximize seating without taking up all this room, because that's the other hard part, right? You don't have much space. So you don't want all these chairs to just kind of be these, you're always kind of shifting around. So we built this bench that was kind of from the corner all the way into where the kitchen starts. And it's a 9-foot long banquette, and it has all these drawers underneath because who doesn't need more storage, especially for those light bulbs, for the stuff that you don't really know where to put otherwise if you don't have like a utility closet. And yeah, it is very comfortable. I love I love this. It was designed to be something where people can kind of go and sit, or they could have, she has a dining room table that's right in front of it.
Mhm.
And the dining table, this was also part of the other uh, component to this design, is, most of the time when you are by yourself, you know, you don't really need a lot of space, right? You just need you and maybe someone else. And the concern, if you had a bigger table to invite more people over to hang out with, is that on a regular basis, sure, it can seat all these people like a bigger dining room table. But if it's just you at home, you're kind of staring at all this empty table space. And
Hmm.
it's just kind of like, what's the point?
Sure.
So we got this smaller table, but in order to accommodate when people came over, this is where you're going to get real excited, Steve. I can already tell.
I'm
We
looking at the
got this.
pictures now, trying to figure out where we're going.
Where are we going? Well, it's actually on my Instagram what we did.
Hmm.
It's in from this past holiday season and for Friendsgiving, because I went back to this client's house and I staged this. We made this custom tabletop. So think of what caterers use when they go into any space to make the tables bigger, right? If they need like tables that seat 10 versus 8, they have these special table toppers they can put. We had this custom tabletop made that has it's a square that kind of goes onto her normal table and then folds out into another kind of square. So it becomes a rectangle. But then it has these legs that can screw in. So it literally becomes a table for six.
Okay, wait a minute. Are we talking about the same place? So I'm
Yeah,
looking at the table that is in front of the banquet.
that's right.
It's circle. It's
That's
a
right.
round table with one, center column that comes down to support.
Yep. Yep.
Beautiful because you don't have legs on it. You don't
Right.
need it. And that this is a table for two, the way it's set up in this picture.
Uh-huh.
How do you turn it from uh, a circle to a square table?
Well, that's the magic. This tabletop is a custom tabletop. So it's designed for this table. It's designed to sit on top of a circle. And the square, it kind of, just think about a piece of paper going over a circle, right? It covers the circle.
Yeah.
And then it's like a big, it folds out. So it's like a page of a book. So it folds out into another kind of component. And then there are these legs that you can screw in to the side that's now hanging off the circle part, right? That doesn't have the
Oh,
support.
okay. So one part of the table, the new table that I got people coming over, need more space. One part of it's being supported by the circle table.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. So it's not exactly on top. It's sort of, that's one side of it, the circle table.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's the $6 billion question. Where y'all keeping that tabletop? Where is it?
Well, think of it kind of like a folding table. So it just can collapse and then the two legs can kind of sit together in her closet because it doesn't take up much room.
Wow. And what's the material that it's made of? Because looking here at this
Yeah.
picture, it looks like, and I know it's probably not, but it looks like almost like the round tabletop,
Yeah.
like a marbly look to it.
Yes, it's marble. It's a
It
marble
is.
table.
Wow.
So the table topper is, I would describe it, it's not plastic, but it is like those really thick kind of uh almost like a table pad or something you might see. Sometimes people like a long time ago would put them on top of their dining room tables to keep them nice, but between the holidays,
Okay.
we're having older
Yeah,
family
no.
members had like
I,
a nice tabletop.
yeah.
Okay, so imagine that, but just increase the thickness by like 3 inches.
Wow. So the column of the circle table that
Yes,
supports it,
that's right.
it's is that affixed to the floor, or you could move it if you want?
It's pretty heavy, so
Yeah.
you could move it. You could move. It's pretty heavy. You can kind of shimmy it just slightly, but the beauty of doing that table topper, and then the idea is too to maybe put a tablecloth on top, so you can't,
See
you
it.
don't have to exactly see how the sausage is made. So you kind of just see this pretty table. But yeah, the beauty is that where the table is now, she can sit in it, and then if she needs a tabletop or there's room for it, it's not like she has to push the table over in order to make room for this extra
Genius,
piece.
genius, and limited space, and you get it done. And even better for me, you still have that window that's right there
Right.
near it. I love natural light. The older I get, the more maybe my eyes need it. I don't know what it is, but it just feels bright and fun and airy. Wow. And
Yeah.
the reason I asked you about that column on that circle table,
Sure.
in the picture, it doesn't look like it would be heavy enough to support, but you're saying it's got some weight, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's I mean, um, it took two delivery guys to move just the base, and they were
Oh,
pretty.
say no. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were struggling. So I mean, I can't recall the weight. It was
Say no more. I already got it now. That's that's really dead weight heavy.
yeah, yeah. It was. I think it was maybe 250 for the base. I mean, it's a solid.
My gosh. All right. That's not
It's a
moving.
solid table. And yeah. And the other thing about this design that I was just excited to incorporate was this client was from the West Coast, right? And so East Coast styles are a little different and trying to think through what would kind of feel like home to her. And so again, we don't have a ton of wall space, we don't have a ton of floor space, but making every kind of thing count. And so we had, she talked about how she just loves to just sit in front of, just like the rest of us, right? Just chill. She has a really high demanding job. And so we decided to create a sofa with a chaise is what they call it, where it kind of juts out so she could lay down. And then in order, if she wanted to read, we added a little sconce above it. So that way she didn't have to be in this little dark corner if she decided to do something that required that. And then since the banquette was like this really pretty blue, I wanted to keep the cushion and the millwork below it really tonal, which means that it's kind of in the same family. It's just a little
Yes.
bit darker, lighter, because I wanted it to feel all kind of one piece and not kind of compete with each other
Yep.
because it is a small space, right? But I did want to add some sort of element that was a little bit graphic because I felt like that was a part of the West Coast style that we could incorporate a little bit. So it's kind of hard to read, but in the one photo, Steve, where you can see the refrigerator, if you look at the ceiling, you can kind of see it. We added wallpaper on the ceiling in this living room.
Okay. Now, what am I looking at? Looking for?
Okay, say that again.
What
What'd
am
you
I
ask?
looking for?
You're looking for on the ceiling little black and white, little black lines in the photo with the refrigerator on the ceiling.
Is that the photo that has the table in the foreground?
Yes.
Hang on. Got to get close to the screen. Hang on.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta it's hard to see.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Yeah. It's very subtle.
Yes, yes. So originally I had put something a little bit stronger. My client was like, I don't know if I can, this is a lot. I was like, I understand. So we kicked it down, but a notch to this pattern. But what I like about this pattern is that, again, it's kind of hard to see in these photos, but when you're in the space, um, it just creates this other kind of dimension to the room because, again, you have the kitchen, you have this dining area, but the ceiling, there's like a beam that separates between the kitchen and the dining room or the living room because that's where I guess the old wall used to be.
Oh.
So I really wanted to kind of again make this space, the living dining room area, feel just a little different, just a little separated from the kitchen. And when you have a ceiling like this, it kind of gives you the opportunity to just do something different.
Hmm.
So we did.
I see that beam now. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I find it interesting. And by the way, the keeping the same tonal value with the cushion and the banquet, they're in
Yeah.
the same family, complement
Yeah.
each other beautifully. But and we're in a blue family, from
Yeah.
pictures, it could be like a light, a little touch of green in there and on that.
Right.
Okay, just a touch. But
Yes. Yes.
then you have a picture on the wall, which is really a map of Los Angeles. So now
Right.
we're embracing the West Coast,
Right.
and it's a black and white a map, if you want to call
Mhm.
it that, almost like just, streets.
Yeah.
But there's just a simply stated red thin frame around it. And for me, it just adds enough pop, but it's not in your face.
Hmm.
So subtle, but so effective. And
Hmm.
looking at this is why you hire an interior designer. I'm serious. There's no way that I would have thought of that to give that. Without that, I believe something is missing because everything's going to be in the same color family. Then you
Right.
pop that little bit, just a little, and it works. It's a totally different color family, but it works. But then I see that you pick up a little bit of those red tones, call it reddish orange in that family
Yeah,
on the couch with the
corals.
yes,
Yes.
coral. Thank you, on the pillows.
Yes. 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 Those were her happy colors. I usually ask my clients, that's one of my questions I ask is, tell me what gets you most excited about looking at, anything, whether that's in your closet or other
Mm.
places. And yeah, she said she loved blues and then she loved kind of those the coral color. And then there's another color I kind of used real just in little small doses, but it's called citron, which is it's like a not a lime green and not a yellow, kind of somewhere in between. Um, and we actually, Steve, I don't have a photo of this, but her bathroom that is around the corner from this room has one wall that is completely citron.
Is that where can I see that color in these pictures?
So the dining room chairs, you see the upholstery on them,
Oh, I got you. All right, there we go.
and
Wow.
then the little accent pillow on the sofa,
Yep, yep. And I was
just
looking at
little.
that one. Yeah, it's almost in the pictures.
Yeah.
It almost has a like a gold tone look to it.
Yes, that's right. That's
Wow.
right. Yeah. So yeah, a color story, especially in a really small space, it has to be real succinct. You can't have 17,000 colors, right? You have to kind of pick your favorites and then use them in different ways around the room to kind of make your eye move around this space as well as to make them feel cohesive. And so kind of adding in, instead of it all being blue tones, adding in a little bit of other colors to kind of differentiate the blues really helped yeah, just make it feel a little bit more layered. And the artwork we're also places, I have artwork is a big important part of my design process just
Hmm.
because I strongly believe in having work that you like on your walls. Nothing I call it, I don't want any filler art. I want art that
That
actually means,
resonates. That's you.
yeah, that resonates,
Yeah.
right? So that I have a photo of the beach that she grew up going to with her family, and then another kind of graphic photo of another West Coast place that she loves, and then a picture of it's actually these Monet kind of flowers, but I think the title was something about LA. I think it was like an LA flower. I'll have to go back and look. I can't quite
Mm.
remember, but yeah, so just all these different ways to kind of incorporate her own, you know, her place, where she came from and then where she is now.
As you're talking, you're bringing memories to me because in the last house, the one before, I was almost a syndicated cartoonist. That's the direction I was going in, and I was doing
Yeah, that's
radio at the
right.
same time. So I would get original comic strips, and sometimes I would just reach out to the cartoonists. They would send them to me. Others would say, no, or they don't answer. I guess they're afraid you're going to sell it. I would never, and I put them in frames, and my frame was the color of, I want to say, the blue tone pillow on the couch. That's
Okay,
so it was not like a boring color,
right.
but when I would look at the art, the comic strips, it would do something inside of me. It reminds me of my childhood when I would look at them.
Oh,
And I would even look at, how they did it, what kind of pens they use, what kind of paper, or it's called, a certain type of board, Strathmore board.
yeah. Yes.
Means nothing to anybody else. But to
Right.
your point, it would resonate with me. And
Yeah.
I've since moved and they're in a closet right now. And you just inspired me to put those damn things on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Me.
what it's about, Steve. That's what it's about. It's about really enjoying where you live. And especially, I think for the most part, you you always like your art. I mean, there could be times where you're tired of seeing it in one spot. You kind of want to move it around or give it a rest or whatever. But you usually what you like early on in your life tends to stay the same. Like that's why I think when someone passes away and they're looking through that person's art or that person's, what was on their wall, that is for whatever reason, there are times when people go, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I saw it all the time in the guest room of so and so, and I still really like it, even though I grew up with it or I, only saw it on holidays." So yeah, I think that you definitely need to hang it up.
Mm.
And I don't know how big is it? Is it kind of smaller or bigger?
I mean, the biggest one is probably Oh, I want to say more like 18 by 6, somewhere like that. A
Yeah.
little bit bigger than that. Yeah.
Right, they're comics, yeah.
Yeah.
When my recommendation, I don't know how many you have, is when you have kind of smaller pieces like that, it's nice when you can kind of put them together in a grouping because then they feel they can kind of take up more wall space. But if you have just kind of one or two that like really mean a lot, it's helpful to, when they're just kind of in these prime wall spaces that are a little bit um they're not super big. So they don't look like they're just kind of sticking on the wall, like they kind of have a moment to themselves.
Gotcha.
So I know this sounds random, but sometimes I'll actually put artwork above the toilet for that reason. I don't want to put your prize cartoon above the toilet, but but that's the size of wall I'm talking
Can we
about.
put
It's
like how about I frame a divorce agreement and I put that above the toilet? No, just
oh,
kidding. Um, but
I guess if you want to be reminded on a daily basis of that decision.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
No, I was thinking
yeah.
more of the toilet. Um,
Right. That's
but
right. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I have to really be intentional about displaying the art, the comic strips, because they're all different sizes,
Right.
and some of them are not elongated. Some of them are just a panel, instead of a
Right.
comic strip, just a panel. So I'm going to work on that. And by the way, um, they say that whatever made a mark on you, resonated with you
Sure.
when you were 18, be it music, art, whatever it is what's really a passion for you. So think about
Oh,
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
So the interest you had, or are you talking about what you resonated with visually?
Anything that connected with you, especially music, songs that
Yeah,
were popular when you were 18, look
right.
back at some of those titles and do you find yourself when you listen to music kind of as your default? And sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. Song comes on, like, yeah, it's a good song. Was it around, give a year on each side,
Oh
your
yeah,
18th birthday?
totally. Yeah. I mean, I think that's yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking about my mom and how she grabbed like her happy music is the stuff that she listened to in high school. So, or early college. So yes, I think that yeah, I would say that. Do you feel that way about when did you get these comics? Were they around that time period too? Like when you were really into it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, but I started getting more serious about it when I was in my 18, 19, 20, and I almost became syndicated when I was maybe like 22-ish or somewhere around there. But I
Yeah.
was already doing radio, so I just stepped off of that, and I kind of had to go where the money went. So
Right. I
that was the
understand.
job.
I understand.
This was a hobby, but it was a dream. And truth be told, when I was younger as a kid, that art, those drawing those cartoons was my therapy. And I didn't realize that until the last couple of years.
Yeah. There is something to be said. I do think creating beauty or just, kind of that hand-eye coordination is so um therapeutic. Whether, I mean, and that's why I think people talk about gardening or,
Yes.
anything with, their hands kind of that, there is something super powerful and it's good, I think, for your nervous system too, to just kind of have those things. But yeah, I think yeah, recently, have you seen those trends where people are getting like adult coloring books?
I just bought a whole bunch of them for my daughter who is 16. And
There you go.
that's what she does. That is her therapy. And you try different markers. They're alcohol based and they look so rich and you can shade a little bit. Haven't found any that don't bleed. So you got to be careful when you get to the lines.
Right. Yeah,
But
you do.
when it's done, it's like, whoa, it's just like so. And she'll even take, like, if it's a leaf, she'll take a darker green in the middle of the leaf and then the outside.
Yes.
Looks is like really
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, yeah, all that stuff. I mean, I think I know we kind of got off the track with this design, but I do feel like that's at the heart of design is having things around you that bring you joy, that look like you,
Yeah.
and that, for example, having like a spot, if this client, let's just say, did coloring books, that's something that, where would she do them in this living room? Like where do we have a little basket to make sure she has her stuff close by? Thinking through how you incorporate what you love in the space, I think is also, yeah, just a big,
Yeah.
a big part of it.
Yeah. I know we digress a little bit, but it's all part of the same thing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's individual and it's you, and it needs to connect with your heart. And
Totally.
you get that. I don't think a lot of people understand that, even right down to the gardening thing. I used to love doing it. I did all my landscaping. And now that I'm not in a house, I'm in between. Now I realize why I missed it, because I was grounded when I was in the earth. I would never wear shoes. I had the dirtiest feet you'd ever see. And I don't really care. I would just walk, because why did I feel so good? Because I was touching the ground and my hands were in it. Then there's something there, therapeutic, for sure.
There is.
Great talk today. Interesting.
Yes. It was great talking to you. Yeah, this was all, super.
Going
super
through this journey too. I'm glad we went back to this space, this condo. There's a lot going on there. Riseinteriors.co is the website, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you're in the DC area, but you can work with anybody, and reach out, start a conversation, change your living space so it feels like it's you. It's so important. You spend so much time. Why wouldn't you? Thanks again for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.
No, I'm glad I got to be here.
Go back and look at those songs when you're 18.
That's right. That's right. That's what I need to do right now.
Yep. All right. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.